This lesson explains the Dynpro architecture and its main elements. The lesson will also describe how data transport works in Dynpro. Dynpro components are containers for other entities related to the UI and the Dynpro program. Following are the Dynpro entities. Windows for navigation and combination of views. Views. The views are the UI and they contain a layout. And there's the component controller responsible for the flow control. So the entities related to the UI are windows and views. The layout of a view is the rectangular part of a page displayed by the client, for example, a browser. The view contains UI elements such as input fields and buttons. The complete page sent to the client can be set up by only one view, but can also be a combination of multiple views. The possible combinations of views and the flow between the views are defined in a window. A window can contain any number of views. A view can be embedded in any number of windows. The Dynpro source code is located in Dynpro controllers. Global variables of controllers are defined as controller attributes. Global data related to the UI, so this is displayed by elements on the UI or used to manipulate the UI element properties, is stored in a hierarchical storage area called the context. How to address a Dynpro component. Dynpro components can be addressed in the following ways. By using a Dynpro application as an end user, you can link a Dynpro component to a URL, which you can call from a web browser or another Dynpro client. When reusing a Dynpro component as a subcomponent, you can combine the visual interface of a Dynpro component with the visual entities of the main component to form the UI. When reusing a Dynpro component as a subcomponent, the main component can access all methods and the data defined in the programming interface. Here I'm going to show you now the entities of a Dynpro component in the ABAP Workbench. I have selected an arbitrary Dynpro component from SAP. You see here it's already available in my work list. And this Dynpro component first consists of a component controller. Then there is one window. And there is one view. There's the Dynpro application, which will form the URL of the Dynpro component. Now I want to create my first own Dynpro component. I've selected package already. And now we're going to create our first package, ZWD 1. Dynpro online video tutorial. All other elements we leave as they are. Confirm. Pick up your change request and assign the package. Inside the package now we're going to create a new Dynpro component. Dynpro component. This component is ZWD demo 1. Demo 1. And now we define what's going to be the window name. We keep this simple here, call it win. And what is going to be the default view name. So what is it what we get? We see here Dynpro has one entry, Dynpro components. There's Dynpro components not activated yet. It's blue. One component controller, one window, one view. And you see that we do not have a Dynpro application yet because it's a separate entity, an independent entity that we have to create. So now we can activate this. And you see that it's not only component controller, window, and main view, also something that's called an empty view is already there. This empty view is meant to be a view with no content. So by default, Dynpro provides here with an empty view. And there's one entry which has no description at all. This is the entire component. The other entities here, they are all part of what is invisible here, our Dynpro component. We activate all of them in one shot because later we will have a problem activating the Dynpro entities if the component itself is not active. All right, here we are. Everything's active now. Now let me explain something about the context. The context in Dynpro is a hierarchical data storage. It's used to store data related to the user interface. The data needs to be transported between the controllers, and this can be established with mapping. Connecting the values of UI elements that allow user input to the context attributes of the corresponding controller is called data binding. By using data binding, you can establish an automatic data transport between the UI elements and the context attributes. Referencing the variables defined in a Dynpro controller from other Dynpro controllers is called context mapping. Context mapping allows you to share common data between different controllers. So copying this data between controller context is not necessary. Combining these two concepts, data transport between UI elements located in various views, can be defined in a purely declarative way. Context mapping allows a context node in one controller to be supplied automatically with the data of that context node to a corresponding context node in another controller. This is the primary mechanism for sharing data between controllers. The prerequisites for establishing a mapping relationship are as follows. A node must exist in the context of the controller acting as the mapping origin. This node may also have child nodes or attributes. The mapping origin controller must not be a view controller. The container containing the mapped node must declare the use of the mapping origin node as a used controller.